Okay, great. So Nicholas, you've said before that you're not a political filmmaker, but yet you've made this sort of genre-bending horror film about beauty, which is kind of an inherently political topic, especially in Hollywood. So I was wondering how both of you, as artists, made a piece of art that was not simultaneously a political statement.
Well, I think the difference is if you set out to preach a certain point of view or to have an agenda, then it becomes political. If our subject is perceived politically, that's different. That's up to interpretation, which is clearly our goal. You know, I mean, we made the Neon Demon not to criticize anyone or anything, but just more to show what the future will be like.
Right. And Elle, did you feel any sort of pressure being the embodiment of that sort of fashion world beauty, in the eyes of the viewer at least?
Yeah, it's interesting because Jessie is, she comes into the city and is like, the ultimate beauty. But I think that which, seems very daunting, but it goes past just her physicality. I think it has mostly to do with the kind of her spirit and this aura around her of, princesses and fairy tales are always, it's purity, virginity, and that youthfulness. So I think it was just as much as the spirit and how enticing that is, as much as kind of the physicality as well. So I looked at it that way.
And Nicholas, you've been known for making controversial films, obviously, and that was very evident from the polarizing audience reaction at Cannes. And I was just wondering how much of that pursuit of shock value drives your storytelling process, if at all.
Well, I don't particularly have an interest in shock value because it's not very interesting to me. But I think that anything that is singular will always provoke because it means that you have to have an emotion to it. You have to react to it. And I'm not interested in good and bad. I'm interested in the reaction. Because I think generally that creativity is a way to open up one's own points of views or discussions. Just like you told me when I asked you, what did you think of the movie? Your first reaction was, it made me think. So for us, mission accomplished.
Right, exactly. I wondered, especially because with the age of the internet and this whole inter-exchange of ideas that we have, I think perhaps it's easier for an audience to become desensitized. And do you think is that a worry of yours ever? That
No, I don't think that we become desensitized. I think that people just get smarter. And because there is so much noise around us nowadays that it takes something more truthful to actually penetrate the mind. So actually, I think a younger generation, meaning Elle's generation, because I'm old enough to be her father, is much stronger and advanced in filtering the noise to seeing what is essentially sustainable and what is not. And I find that very interesting. I wish I could live another 100 years to see the evolution of technology.
So one of the film's most memorable lines is that beauty isn't everything, it's the only thing. And I thought that was interesting for a number of reasons, but probably most of all because you are such an aesthetically oriented filmmaker, and your films are often so visually arresting. And I was wondering if that is almost a philosophy of yours as well.
Well, no, because what I actually find beautiful is weakness. But I think that the film takes place, like the Neon Demon, in the world of beauty obsession. And of course, the fashion world, beauty is the ultimate. So of course, his point of view is a heightened version of something that is technically true. That the obsession of beauty has gotten to the level of, for many people, it's not just many things, it's the only thing. And I think that is both scary, but also good.
I also just saw that you recently turned 18,
Yeah.
So happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
And turning 18 is a coming of age in a very literal and legal sense, but I was wondering if working on this film was also sort of a coming of age for you.
Yeah, there are a lot of milestones on this film, or even when the film's coming out now, that have happened. Like when I went to Cannes, the premiere was my prom night. So my prom date came out to Cannes, and so we had prom at at the Neon Demon premiere.
Oh, wow.
And then
What was the best memory from that?
I just seeing the movie for the first time with a big audience like that, and having my best friend there, and then it was my first time going, so it was very special. And then I turned 18, and then I also graduated like a week ago.
Congratulations.
So this film is, I feel it's kind of grown up with me as well, because I started when I was 16. This has been a part of my life, and now it's here and finally coming out. So of course you feel older, but I don't feel like an adult, whatever that means.
Right. It's always a work in progress.
Yeah.
One of the most compelling parts of the film for me was that Jessie is such a hard character to crack. Almost her motivations aren't always clear to the viewer, especially because she starts out as this sort of naive girl out of her depths and transforms into someone who calls herself dangerous and uses her beauty almost like a weapon. So what was that like in trying to uncover her motivations, what she's thinking, because so much of it remains unseen to us, the audience?
Well, it was the idea to have a character that is both a metaphysical evolution, that she starts off being innocent with a slight twist, because is she also the initiator? And the idea that she slowly transforms into pure narcissism, but in that journey also encounters other characters that start to basically mirror themselves in her journey. So for us, there always had to be that flip of a coin, that you could always see it from two perspectives. Mm-hmm. So the film became more of an experience rather than just a straightforward, here are the facts, this is the results, because I don't find that interesting, and I certainly don't think that we find it interesting.
Yeah, because it's a classic kind of A Star is Born, but there's a twist to it, because I feel like she's the poison that comes into the city and, kind of disrupts everybody else, because she's not a victim, and she's slowly...
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So that was your conceptualization of her from the start.
Yeah, that I feel like she has this plan kind of all along, and she's kind of plopped here. You don't really hear about her family. She's alone. It's... so she's a mystery, and she likes it that way.
Right. So as an actress, what do you think drives her motivations? How did you play that in your conceptualization of the role?
Yeah, we filmed in chronological order, which helped a lot, and you're constantly, because she has this transformation, so you're kind of, you're building these layers up, and then you're bringing more out, and discovering things along the way, because things would change a lot. So you're going off your instincts, and me being 16 being a 16-year-old teenager, but also she has this darker side, and so kind of infusing it and injecting that in, the normal innocent girl, but then infusing it with other things.
We designed the movie with specific clues. So when you watch it again, you can see a different pattern that actually streamlines all the scenes.
Interesting.
That goes against the expectation.
Naiveness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely saw hints of that here and there. Everyone in the movie keeps going back to how Jessie has that thing, and that's a really frequently repeated line. And I was wondering if you guys thought that is something that can be defined, or if it's just sort of an intangible sense you have about someone.
Well, the thing is something God gives you. You can't learn it, can't teach it. You're born with it. And it's a special kind of inner definition, And Elle has it, and that's why she was the only one who could play the role. I'd worked with Ryan Gosling before, who also has it. And it's that magic that just, it's like a magnet. It's a talent, it's an ability, it's understanding, and it's also fearless. So it's quite a unique gift.
I know there have been many, many different interpretations of what the neon demon is, but I read recently that you said it was something that consumes beauty or youth and that you have to avoid catching it, which I thought was fascinating. So I was wondering if, on the process of working on this movie, you guys saw any path to avoid catching the neon demon in LA.
It's like a disease.
At first, I think it's a worldwide thing. I don't think in any way this is particular to LA. I mean, I live in Copenhagen, Denmark, which is the heart of socialism, and we still have the same lifestyle and views, meaning that the beauty obsession is global. It happens to maybe lead to Hollywood because Hollywood beams it out in our entertainment system, which very much dominates our lives. But the way to avoid the neon demon is very, very difficult because you can't avoid not falling in love with oneself. So it's a very cautionary road to walk. And I don't think you can even avoid it. I think it will always come. It's just how do you deal with you? Yeah.
And do you think that maybe you have to fall into that a little bit in order to step out of yourself and see how to get out of the neon
Absolutely.
demon?
I think that the generation that Elle represents has a very interesting acceptance of narcissism. And the idea that narcissism is a virtue, it's a quality. I grew up with it as a taboo, but I think that the future generation kind of accepts the individualistic in another different way. And so forth in the future, what we consider an artificial reality, which is a digital reality, will essentially be fused into a real reality. And that's where, of course, the neon demon lies. But in order to really deal with it, you need to accept the evolution. You need to accept narcissism as a quality in order to pass through it, in order to deal with it. It's like the antidote is on the other side.
Right.